The final warning on simple, basic English. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with light, color, and voices from many worlds. Tall aliens with glowing skin, winged creatures, and robotic beings sat in high chairs around a long round table. At the center of it all stood Commander Zarina, a young alien woman with purple skin, sharp eyes, and pride in every word she spoke. Across from her stood one human, Captain Elias Rourke. He wore a plain black suit, hands behind his back, eyes calm but unreadable. He was the only human in the room and the only one not smiling. "Human," Commander Zarina said loudly, her voice echoing across the chamber. "Your people talk about peace, but you bring weakness. Your kind still crawls like children among the stars." A few council members chuckled. Others looked away. They had heard this before. Earth was small. Earth was new. Earth was quiet. And Zarina loved to speak. Elias didn't answer. Zarina walked slowly toward him, her silver boots clicking on the crystal floor. "You don't belong here. You bring nothing. Not strength, not power, not history. Why does your Earth even have a seat at this table?" Elias still didn't speak. He looked around the chamber. Every species here had once fought wars. Every species had taken lives, but now they judged humans. "No words, Captain?" She smiled. "Perhaps your voice is as weak as your technology." A soft voice beside her spoke up. It was an elder from the Marnak species. "Commander Zarina, please let the human speak. This is a peace session." Zarina raised her hand. "Peace? This human's people bombed a mining station last year." Elias finally looked up. "It was a trap. 3 of our diplomats were killed there. The attack was not ours. It was defense." "Liar," Zarina hissed. "Humans lie as easily as they breathe." The room fell quiet. Elias took one slow step forward. "Commander, we came. Here in peace we always have, but peace is not weakness." "No?" She raised an eyebrow. "Then show us your strength. Fight me now, or run back to your little blue planet." Elias looked at her for a long moment. Then quietly, he spoke. "You have insulted my people. You have insulted my planet. And now, you insult me?" Zarina laughed. "He didn't. This was your final warning," Elias said, his voice low. "You do not know what humans can do, but you will. Soon." He turned and walked away. No anger, no shouts, just calm steps. "You're leaving?" Zarina shouted after him. "Just like that?" He didn't answer. He walked out of the chamber and into the darkness of the hall. For a moment, no one moved. The laughter in the room had died. Something about the way he had spoken. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Zarina rolled her eyes. Pathetic. But deep in her chest, something cold began to grow. Fear? No, she told herself. Humans are nothing. She didn't know that Elias Rourke was no ordinary human. She didn't know he had once been a soldier, a leader, a legend during the Silent War. She didn't know Earth had been holding back its power for years. And she didn't know that Earth had a plan for enemies like her. As Elias walked down the empty corridor, he pressed a small button on his wrist. A blue light blinked. Far above the chamber, hidden behind the moon of Velinar, a human stealth ship received a signal. It read only 3 words: "Activate Protocol Ghostfire." And in that moment, the galaxy began to change. The human leaves the table. The Galactic Council chamber remained still long after Captain Elias Rourke left. The silence wasn't normal. It was sharp, like the air had turned to glass. Members who once smirked at humans now whispered quietly to each other. Zarina, still standing tall, tried to laugh again, but this time no one joined her. In the outer hallway, Elias walked alone. His face was cold and calm, but inside his mind, decisions were being made. Not emotional ones, calculated. Earth had been patient for too long. Now things had to change. As he reached the exit gate of the council tower, a small black drone followed him. It was disguised as a floating light, but it carried a direct line to his ship in orbit. "Captain?" The voice of Lieutenant Alina crackled softly in his ear. "Confirmation received. Protocol Ghostfire is active. All systems await next order." He nodded. "Stay hidden. Observe. No engagement unless they strike first." "Yes, sir." As the drone floated away, Elias turned back once and looked up at the great building behind him. It sparkled with alien beauty. Tall spires, glowing vines, airwalks that danced with light. But under all that beauty was arrogance, cruelty. They thought humans were beneath them. Soon, they'd learn. 2 days later, Galactic News Channel, broadcast breaking. Earth's delegation has officially withdrawn from the Galactic Council. Human embassies on 10 planets have been shut down. No explanation has been given. Trade routes involving Earth have also been closed. Tensions rise as speculation grows. Back on Zyrina's homeworld, a fortress moon called Valkyrie 7, alarms, rang quietly beneath the surface. Not loud, not urgent, but silent alerts only seen by those in command. Something had changed. Human ships had stopped all communication. Not a single signal, not even a distress call. This wasn't normal. Zyrina's father, Grand General Vorvak, read the latest reports with deep frowns on all 4 of his eyes. He had fought many wars. He had studied many species. Humans were different. Their past was full of violence, yet for decades they remained quiet, peaceful, patient. "They've gone dark," he muttered. His advisor, a green-skinned tactician named Kelvar, nodded slowly. "They've not responded to any council requests, and they've pulled back every ship from our borders." "Why now?" Vorvak asked. "What did they see?" Kelvar hesitated, then pulled up a recording. Zyrina's speech at the council. Vorvak's hands tightened into fists as he watched his daughter insult the human captain. Word by word, insult by insult. Then, Rourke's final words. "This was your final warning." Vorvak paused the video. He remembered those words. 30 years ago, during the Silent War, another human general had said something similar. 3 weeks later, 3 entire fleets had vanished without a trace. "Find Captain Rourke," Vorvak ordered. Immediately, in orbit above Velener, hidden in deep shadow behind the moon, a human Ghost-class stealth ship hovered, silent and unseen. Its name was Black Resolve, and it carried no markings, only death. Inside, Captain Rourke stood at the center of the command room. Around him were holograms of alien planets. Markers blinked. Red meant potential threat. Yellow meant observed. Green meant safe. Everything was red. "Status report," he said. Lieutenant Alina stepped forward. "Fleet is in silent mode. Drones are moving through civilian systems. Alien. Surveillance has not detected us, but, sir, we intercepted a message. Go on. Zyrina's father wants you found. He's recalling his fleets to the border of the human zone. Their weapons are powering up." Rourke didn't look surprised. He turned to another officer. "What's our civilian status?" "All human citizens have been quietly evacuated from allied planets. Last ship left 3 hours ago." "Good." Rourke took a deep breath. "They think this is a game. They think humans won't respond because we never have, but they forgot something." "Sir?" Alina asked. "We don't like to fight, but we never walk away from it either." 3 more days later, galaxy-wide panic spreads. A trade station that once processed over 100 human ships a day now stands empty. Food shortages begin on planets that relied on human transport ships. Economic systems shake as human. Digital currency freezes. The galaxy starts to whisper. What is Earth doing? Why have they gone silent? Some leaders try to contact Earth. No one answers. On a council world called Narvalon Prime, 3 alien ambassadors meet in secret. "This is not like them," said Ambassador Threx of the Silith. "I agree," said the Drakkar ambassador. "We made a mistake." We allowed that girl to humiliate them. The third one, an elder from the race of Viscari, looked deeply troubled. I once studied human history. There is one truth that repeats. When humans stop talking, they're about to act. Back on Valkyrie 7, Zirina still refused to take things seriously. They're bluffing, she told her father. They can't fight us. They're outnumbered. They have no empire, no colonies, just one tiny planet. Vorvak looked at her, quiet and heavy with thought. One tiny planet, he repeated. And yet, every species here buys their technology, eats their food, wears their fabric, even our own weapons, use human alloys. Cyrena didn't respond. They've made us depend on them, he said, and now, they've removed themselves. The damage has already begun, and still they haven't fired a shot. So what do we do? She asked, finally showing doubt. Vorvak stared at the stars beyond the glass window. We wait, he whispered, and pray they choose not to answer the insult you gave them. But deep inside he knew, humans always answer, and when they do, the galaxy shakes. The quiet human threat the stars above Velenar blinked like cold eyes watching in silence. Far beyond them, across black space, something stirred. Quiet, invisible, but not asleep. It had been 7 days since Captain Elias Rourke walked out of the Galactic Council without raising his voice, without touching a weapon. Since then, no human message had been heard, no ambassador seen, no ship sighted. But effects were felt everywhere. On the trade world of Gralos, food supplies dropped by 40%. Hospitals on Tyraxis ran out of medical gel, human-made and irreplaceable. Merchants on dozens of planets panicked as human tech vanished from shelves. But that was just the beginning. Meanwhile, deep in Earth's orbit, Arth didn't sleep anymore. Above, its surface floated a massive ring-shaped platform known only as Orbital Command Eden. To most outsiders, Eden was a research station. In truth, it was the brain of a sleeping giant. In the center chamber, giant holograms of the galaxy floated around a glowing sphere, Earth itself. Commander Leah Shu stood silently beside Captain Rourke, who had just arrived back on Earth. Sir, she said, all observers report the same pattern. Panic, chaos, and now, fear. Rourke nodded. They still don't believe we're dangerous, Leah continued. They think we're hiding, waiting. They're half right, Rourke replied. We are waiting. For what? Rourke looked at the center of the hologram, where one blinking red dot pulsed. Valkyrie 7, Cyrena's homeworld. For her to make the next mistake. Across the galaxy, secret meetings council species began gathering in private. Not to speak of war, but survival. They started asking old questions. Why is Earth so quiet? Why did they never expand? How did they end every war they joined in just days? The answers were never clear. And then came new rumors. Rumors of Project Obsidian. Rumors of human gravity weapons. Rumors that Earth had fleets never registered with the Council. Fleets that never needed fuel. Fleets that could disappear in space. Alien leaders tried to confirm this. They found nothing. But spies who got too close. They vanished too. On Valkyrie 7, Commander Zyrina sat in a hall of advisors, now filled with tension. This is ridiculous, she snapped. We're treating these humans like they're gods. An advisor, old and slow-speaking, leaned forward. Commander, when the gods stay silent, that's when you should be afraid. Zyrina slammed her fist on the table. We can crush Earth in one cycle. Have you seen their real ships? Another asked. She stared at him. What do you mean? We've mapped all their fleets. The room fell quiet. The old advisor leaned in. No, you've seen what they showed you, not what they have. In a hidden star system, 0.5 light years from Valkyrie 7A, black planet floated, in space, invisible to most scanners. No natural light touched it, no signals came from it. But deep under its surface, hundreds of machines whispered to life. Massive doors opened, and out of the black planet rose the Phantom Fleet, 12 warships. unmanned, guided by AI, each one capable of burning a moon in an hour, each one built by humans, and never used, until now. A message was sent from Rourke to the fleet. Shadow Pattern Alpha initiated. Do not engage. Observe only. Show them the ghost. And the ghost moved. Back on Eden Station, sir. Valkyrie 7 just detected Phantom-class signals. They believe they're being watched. Rourke nodded. They are. Should we cloak again? No, Rourke said. Let them see. Let them guess. Won't that trigger war? He turned slowly to his officers. Not war. Respect. Inside Zarina's palace, panic had begun to spread. Their satellites picked up strange movement beyond their moons. Signals that made no sense. Objects that disappeared when approached. A message arrived from an old alien friend. Ambassador Telmore of the Drakkar. Zarina, he warned. You must fix what you did. You poked a lion. And the lion is now watching you from the dark. She refused to reply. But she couldn't sleep. For the first time in her life, her fear was not of an army, or a fleet, or even a weapon. Her fear was of what she didn't know. What if humans had technology older than they admitted? What if they had AI smarter than any council system? What if their silence wasn't confusion, but strategy in secret human archives, known as Vault? Gray deep underground, under an ocean on Earth, sat a room guarded by codes only Rourke and two others knew. In that room floated a giant sphere of dark glass pulsing with blue light. It was called the Whisper Core, a living AI built from human minds, old war tech, and something alien. Rourke stood before it now. How much time? He asked. The Whisper Core replied in a soft voice made of many. She will provoke again. Within 3 rotations. Her pride is louder than her logic. Prepare phase 2. And after that? Then we teach the galaxy that silence is not surrender. It is the sound before the storm. Galactic broadcast interruption. Anonymous. Message appears every major planet saw the same thing. Black screen. A single human face. Elias Rourke. His message was calm. We came in peace. We stayed in peace. But peace is not fear, and silence is not weakness. To those who pushed us, and this is your second and final warning, the third message will not be words. The screen went black, and the galaxy held its breath. First strike from the shadows. A lonely moon rotated in silence around the gas giant. Voltanar, a moon filled with fuel depots, cargo ports, and defense towers. It belonged to the Ziran Empire, Commander Zarina's home territory. It was known as Outpost 7, the second largest supply base in the region. At 0300 hours, its sky turned black, not because of night, but because something massive had arrived. No sound, no lights, no warning, only shadows. And then, it vanished. The moon blinked out of all scanners for exactly 9 seconds. When it reappeared, it was empty. Every ship gone. Every weapon offline. Every life signal dead. Galactic Council alert. Emergency broadcast. This is a Class Omega distress call. Outpost 7 has gone dark. All contact lost. Drone scans show no heat signatures, no life. It's like it was erased. The message reached every leader, every system, but Earth still said nothing. Not a word. Not a whisper. On Valkyrie 7, Commander Zarina was pulled from her sleep by blaring red alarms. The war room lit up with warnings. Her defense minister ran in, shaking. Commander, they struck. She rubbed her eyes. Who? We don't know. Which enemy? Not an enemy, the minister said slowly. A ghost. He played the footage. There wasn't much, just 3 seconds, a blurry shape in the stars, blacker than space, moving without sound. Then the screen turned white. That was it. No missiles, no lasers, no battles, just disappearance. Zarina's hands shook. Who did this? She whispered. But deep in her mind, She already knew Eden. Command station, Earth's orbital brain inside the main chamber. Officers watched the feed silently. A young commander leaned toward Captain Rourke. "Sir, Ghost Unit 1 has returned. Outpost 7 neutralized. 0 casualties, full erasure complete." "Civilian survivors?" Rourke asked. "None. The base had only military personnel and weapons cargo." He nodded once. "Good. Send the message." The officer hesitated. "Sir." "What message?" Rourke didn't blink. "The one they've been waiting for." He turned to the giant communication dish floating in space. "Show them what happens when humans stop asking nicely." Zyrina's palace. 3 hours later, her council was shouting, "We must prepare retaliation. They attacked us. We don't even know who they is." She raised her hand. Silence followed. "This was a human move," she said quietly. Some stared. "You can't be sure," one general began. "Yes, I can," she interrupted. "It was too fast, too clean. No damage to the planet, no warning, no trace. Only humans strike like that. Only they walk away without leaving blood behind." A new alert flashed on her screen. "Incoming transmission, unknown sources." He tapped it open. A human face appeared. Captain Elias Rourke. Calm. Still. Quiet. He spoke only 2 words. "You were warned." Then the screen went black. No static. No error. Just silence. And that silence screamed louder than any weapon. Galaxy-wide reaction. Media meltdown news channels exploded. Human war tech returns? Outpost 7 destroyed. Earth's ghost fleet confirmed. Why did the Galactic Council ignore the warnings? Should the galaxy fear Earth? Some species panicked. Others began forming alliances. Leaders demanded answers, but there were none. Hidden council room. Neutral planet Karaka 3-7 alien races gathered secretly. Ambassador Telmore of the Drakkar spoke first. "We asked them to the table. We spat at their kindness. Now, they've reminded us who they really are." A cyborg ambassador, half metal, agreed. "We called them primitive, but they were only quiet. Now that silence is a storm." "What do we do?" asked the Viscari elder. Telmore turned to them all. "We choose, stand with the humans, or stand in their way." No one spoke. They already knew the answer. On a transport ship, a survivor speaks. Only one thing had survived the destruction of Outpost 7, a drone camera. Its footage was leaked. The galaxy watched in horror. They saw the black shape like a city floating in the dark. No engine trails, no lights, only deep, humming silence. And then something stranger. The shadow didn't fire weapons. Instead, the buildings crumbled without sound, without explosion. As if gravity itself had turned against them. The scientists called it fold tech. No one else understood. But one thing was clear. Humans had weapons, not of war, but of erasure. Valkyrie 7, emergency war meeting, Grand General Vorvak stood over the table, fists tight. "We made a mistake," he said. "Should we attack Earth?" one general asked. "No," Vorvak said. "Then what?" Zyrina asked quietly. He looked at her, disappointed. "We apologize." She stood up, shocked. "Apologize? To them?" "Yes," Vorvak said. "We mocked a lion. We slapped its face. Now it has shown teeth." "I won't beg," Zyrina growled. "Then prepare to lose everything," he warned. "Because the next strike won't erase a base. It will erase a planet." Eden Command. Whisper Core activated inside the deep vault on Eden Station. The Whisper Core lit up. A message was forming. Dozens of holograms spun. Star systems, war, maps, alien files. Then the AI spoke softly. "Zyrina will not back down. Pride will blind her. She will try to strike back. Let her. And then when she has broken her last weapon, we end it." Captain Rourke nodded slowly. "Then prepare, Phase 3. Humanity's secret weapon, in the deepest void of uncharted. Space far beyond any council map. A massive black structure drifted. Larger than any space station, darker than any shadow. No lights. No signal. No name. Only one word existed in human records: Sentinel. 1. The galaxy didn't know it existed. Not yet. Captain Elias Rourke stood alone in a pressurized chamber aboard the ship Black Resolve. In front of him, 3 vertical capsules hissed open. Inside each floated something impossible, humanoid shapes but larger than men, wrapped in sleek armor, asleep. These were Vanguard-class units, humans no longer entirely human, their bodies enhanced with AI cores, neural reflex systems, zero-gravity combat upgrades, and emotion suppression implants. They were not made for diplomacy. They were made for correction. "Awake them," Rourke ordered. The ship's AI responded, instantly. Vanguard Protocol, awakened. The figures opened their eyes. No emotion, no words, just readiness. On the Xeran capital planet, Valkyrian Prime, Zyrina stood at her war console. Her officers had begged her to stand down. Her father had warned her again and again, but she couldn't. Not after the humiliation. Not after the human's last message. "You were warned." She gave the order. Send a strike fleet, enter human space. Test their border. It was a foolish move, but pride is blind. 30 minutes later, edge of human space, a Xeran armada of 10 battleships entered human border space. They expected resistance, maybe even retreat. They found something else. Floating in the dark, like dead metal, was Sentinel. 1. They scanned it. No energy. No life. No threat. The Xeran commander laughed. "Just old scrap." They moved closer. Then, the stars bent. What happened next was not war. It was exposure. One by one, the Xeran ships froze in place. Engines dead. Weapons offline. Every crew member blacked out for exactly 6 seconds. In those 6 seconds, every human AI satellite launched microscopic drones into the ships, no larger than dust. They didn't kill. They copied. Every weapon design, command code, ship route, and personal file was stolen in silence. Then power returned. The Xeran commander blinked. Everything looked normal. Until they saw the message flashing on all screens. "You're inside our web. We control this space. Go home." They fled. Back on Valkyrian Prime, Zyrina watched the fleet return, silent, broken, and terrified. They had not been fired on. They had not been injured. But they were defeated. "How?" she whispered. Her father finally spoke. "You poked the storm." Meanwhile, in Earth's secure bunker under the Atlantic Trench, the Judas 1 AI activated Phase 3. Target acquired. The AI spoke. "Permission to proceed?" Rourke stood in the command room, silent, then he nodded once. Permission granted. The next day, the galaxy changed. On 67 different planets across 14 empires, machines stopped working, only the ones made with human tech. Power grids failed. Water systems collapsed. Weapons refused to fire. Hospitals blinked into darkness. It lasted only 11 minutes, then everything returned. But the message was sent and everyone received the same simple data packet. Earth was kind. Earth was patient. Earth built your future. You tried to destroy its pride. Now, you understand who we are. The Galactic Council met in chaos. Ambassadors shouted. Others wept. They've crippled us with code. They didn't even attack, just turned us off. How do you fight an enemy that already lives inside your systems? Only one ambassador stood calm, Elder Ulick of the Viscari. "You don't fight them," he said. "You respect them, and you never insult them again." On Valkyrian Prime, Zyrina finally understood. She sat alone in her chamber, watching her own reflection. This war had not been about ships or guns. It had been about control, and humans didn't just have weapons. They had the blueprints of every civilization that relied on their machines, their tech, their ideas. They were the quiet rulers of the stars, and she had pushed them too far. Later that evening, a message was delivered to her private console. It wasn't from Earth. It was from one of her own citizens, A scientist named Dr. Yorin, his message was short. I worked with human engineers once. They taught us how to build without asking for credit. We called them slow. We were wrong. Now I see. They gave us the stars, but we never thanked them. Now they remind us, even the stars can be taken back. Zyrina sat in silence, and for the first time in her life, she felt shame. Aboard the Black Resolve, Captain Rourke received word. His second officer approached. Sir, reports from over half the galaxy. No retaliation, no movement, just silence. Rourke gave a tired nod. Then, it's working. What's next? She asked. He looked out the window into the stars. We wait. And if they choose peace, we accept. But if they ever forget again? He pressed a button. In orbit, 3 Vanguard units lit up, ready to deploy. We remind them. The reckoning begins. The stars above Valkyrian Prime were quiet, but the world below was shaking. Commander Zyrina had not slept, not for 3 days. Her empire's pride was gone. Her people whispered in fear. Their machines now worked, but every time they turned one on, they wondered, can the humans turn it off again? They didn't need more proof. They had seen it, heard it, felt it. The human response wasn't fire. It wasn't war. It was control. In the palace war room, Grand General Vorvak stood before a wall of projections. Each screen showed a different system. Communication towers, energy grids, defense, networks, all traced back to human code, all vulnerable. We are no longer at war, he told his generals. We are under judgment. A senior officer asked, should we launch a peace mission? Vorvak shook his head. This is not diplomacy. This is punishment, and we deserve it. Zyrina entered quietly. The room fell silent. She didn't wear armor today, not her metal sash, just simple clothes. She spoke in a low voice. I started this. I must end it. Vorvak stepped forward. This isn't about pride now, Zyrina. It's about survival. If we try anything more, I know, she interrupted. That's why I'm going to Earth. Earth orbit. Eden Station Captain Elias Rourke stood before a round table of his highest-ranking officers. Behind him, 3 Vanguard units stood still, silent guardians of human justice. She's coming, Lieutenant Alina reported. Zyrina, alone, unarmed, with a formal request for audience. Rourke's eyes didn't move. I warned her. You did? Alina agreed. And now? Someone asked. Now, Rourke said, we listen. Not because we owe her anything, but because humans keep records, and she deserves to hear what we've written. He turned toward the window, watching her ship approach. Prepare the hall. In orbit, the Zirin vessel arrived. Small, sleek, 1 life form aboard. It was scanned 3 times. No weapons, no cloaked tech, no tricks. Earth allowed it through. Zyrina stepped off the platform into Eden Station, face pale, shoulders heavy. Every human soldier she passed gave her no salute, no greeting. Just cold, measured silence. The Hall of Judgment's arena stood alone in a circular room made of black stone and blue glass. Hundreds of human leaders and AI observers watched from above. No applause, no welcome. At the center stood Captain Rourke. He didn't smile. He didn't move. He simply asked, "Why are you here?" Zyrina took a slow breath. "I came to answer." "Answer what?" "Your warning," she said quietly. "I didn't listen. I mocked. I hurt your name, your people, your planet." Rourke waited. "And now," she continued, "I offer apology, not for peace, not for politics, but because you were right, and we were wrong." The room remained silent. Then Rourke stepped forward, stopping only a few feet from her. "You called us weak," he said. "Yes, you thought silence meant fear." "Yes. And when we showed you our hand," she lowered her head, "I saw who truly holds the galaxy." In the observation decks above, Other species watched. They saw something rare, an empire kneeling and a human, not striking. Rourke turned to the room. Earth never wanted to rule, he said. We wanted peace. We shared tech, medicine, energy, food, and in return, we were laughed at. He faced Zyrina again. You were the loudest. I know. You wanted to see what we could do, now you have. He paused. So tell me, what should your punishment be? She didn't answer. The room waited. Then she said something no one expected. Let Earth decide. We deserve it. The next moments were quiet. Then, the lights dimmed. AI Judas 1 appeared as a ghostly blue figure in the center. Recommendation, mercy, reason. She bent before she broke. Rourke turned to his council. Some whispered, others nodded. Finally, he faced her one last time. You will live, he said, but not as commander, not as princess. You are now an observer. Your empire will step down from all council positions. For 50 years. Zyrina swallowed, hard. And you, Rourke, said it will stay on Earth. She blinked. What? You'll live among us. Learn who we really are. See what you tried to erase. She nodded slowly. Yes, I accept. 2 days later, Galactic Council, the Ziran Empire stepped down from its ruling chair. Earth did not take it. They left the seat empty. Not as a threat, but as a reminder. Earth's name changed in every system, no longer just a trade partner, now a force to be respected. Whispers spread. Don't anger the humans. Don't push them too far. Because if they rise again, the stars themselves might shift. On a quiet evening in a human city by the sea, Zyrina walked alone. No guards, no servants, just thoughts. And she looked up at the stars she once claimed to understand, but now, she whispered, I never knew power until I saw it remain still. The galaxy remembers. Years passed. The stars didn't forget. Neither did the galaxy, not the council, not the traders, not the empires, and certainly not Zyrina. She lived now in a quiet human city by the ocean. No servants, no titles, no guards. Just a small apartment with a view of the sea and sky. People didn't fear her anymore. They didn't hate her either. They just watched. Sometimes they nodded as she passed. Sometimes they said nothing. But the message was always the same. You are here because we allow it. And every morning Zyrina stood at the edge of the sea and whispered the same 3 words into the wind. I was wrong. The Galactic Council had changed. Many old races had stepped down. New seats opened. And the seat once belonging to the Ziran Empire? Still empty. Dusty. Untouched. Not because no one wanted it, but because everyone knew. Some chairs are too heavy to sit in again. On Earth, Captain Elias Rourke was no longer a soldier. He walked freely now, unarmed, through places once guarded with steel, but his presence alone made others stand straighter. He didn't lead with threats. He didn't need to. His silence was still the loudest sound in every room. A legend now. But he never called himself that. To him, he had done what humans always did. They held the line, until the moment came to remind the universe who they truly were. In the years after the reckoning, the galaxy adapted. Human technology was no longer taken for granted. Trade routes adjusted, new alliances formed. Earth was no longer asked to prove itself. It was respected, and when council members met to discuss new matters of war, peace, or expansion, they always asked the same question first. What will Earth say? Far away on a lonely moon, a school was built, not for humans, not for any one species, but for all. It was funded by Earth, guarded by Troll warriors, and maintained by the Viscary elders. They called it the Archive of Balance. Its first lesson was written on a wall of black stone. Do not mistake silence for weakness. Do not mistake kindness for surrender. And never, ever push a human too far. Zyrina became a teacher there, Not a ruler, not a soldier, just a voice. Her students were from every world, some born after the events, some curious, some nervous, and she told them the story honestly, how she mocked a quiet man in a council hall, how his silence became a storm, and how that storm did not destroy, but corrected. She always ended the tale the same way. I pushed a human too far, but instead of burning our world, he showed us a mirror. One evening, Captain Rourke visited the school. He entered the hall without guards, without announcement. Students stared. Serena stood at the front. She didn't bow. She didn't speak. She waited. He looked around. The faces of many species watched. Him, not in fear, but in awe. He spoke only once that night. We don't need to be feared to be strong. We don't need to shout to be heard. We were never the galaxy's enemy, but we are no one's toy. Then he turned and left, and no one forgot that moment. Decades passed. Rourke retired to the mountains of Mars. Zyrina remained a teacher till her last breath. The Galactic Council grew wiser. Wars grew fewer. And humanity kept building. They never ruled. They never took. They just remembered. And so did everyone else. In the end, the galaxy understood. Earth was not the strongest in numbers, not the richest in gold, not the oldest in stars, but it was the one planet no one challenged again, not out of fear, but out of memory. A statue now stands at the center of the new Galactic Plaza. Two figures carved from dark stone. One is a human, calm, steady, eyes ahead. The other, a Xeran woman, head bowed slightly, not in defeat, but in understanding. Beneath them, words etched in every known language. The day silence answered back, the stars listened forever. The end.